The emergency room doors exploded inward at 2:47 a.m., and the night shift at Seoul National University Hospital learned what terror looked like. Kang-soo didn't walk, he stormed, a force of nature in blood-splattered Armani, carrying his dying mother like she weighed nothing. Behind him, 8 men in black suits fanned out with military precision, hands inside jackets where guns lived, eyes scanning for threats in a place designed to save lives, not end them. "Move!" Kang-soo's voice cracked through the fluorescent silence like a gunshot. Nurses scattered, doctors froze. The head physician started forward with protests about procedure dying on his lips because Kang-soo's eyes, black, bottomless, absolutely devoid of mercy, promised that rules didn't apply to men who owned half of Seoul's underworld. Private ICU, now. Kang-soo laid his mother on a gurney with surprising gentleness. "Price is irrelevant. She gets the best doctors, the best equipment, or I burn this hospital down with everyone inside." He said it so calmly that nobody doubted he meant it. "Before we go any further, I need to ask you something really important. Where are you watching this from right now? Are you in the United States? The UK? Maybe somewhere in Asia or Africa? Drop your location in the comments below because I absolutely love seeing where my viewers are from around the world. It helps me understand who I'm telling these stories to, and I read every single comment." 10 minutes later, Park Ji-woo, the woman who'd clawed her way from brothel worker to crime queen, who'd killed 7 men before Kang-soo turned 15, who'd built an empire of blood and diamonds on sheer will, lay dying in a room that cost more per hour than most people made in a month. Kang-soo stood at the window, watching machines breathe for his mother, and felt his carefully constructed world cracking. She was the only thing he loved, the only weakness in his armor, and she was leaving him. "Boss," his Lieutenant Min-ho approached carefully. "The men who attacked her, we've got them. What are your orders? Keep them alive." Kang-soo's voice was ice. "I want them to suffer for days, weeks if possible, make them beg for death until their throats bleed. Yes, boss." Kang-soo turned back to his mother, and for just a moment his mask cracked. Pain flickered across his perfect features, raw, agonizing, quickly crushed. Then her eyes opened. Kang-soo. His mother's voice was sandpaper and smoke. "Come here, my beautiful monster." He moved to her bedside immediately, taking her withered hand with a gentleness that would have shocked anyone who knew him. "Don't talk. Save your strength." "For what?" "I'm dying, you stupid boy." A ghost of her old fire flickered. "Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. The doctor told me 3 months ago. I didn't tell you because you would have done something rash." Kang-soo's jaw clenched. "We'll find the best oncologists. Switzerland, America, whatever it takes." "No." Her grip tightened with surprising strength. "Listen to me. I don't have time for your denial. I have weeks, maybe days, and before I die I need to know you'll be okay. I'll be fine. You'll be alone." Tears leaked from her eyes. "You'll be a monster without a leash. You'll burn everything down, until someone finally kills you, and you'll die alone in some alley like your father. That's not what I want for you. Mother, I want you to find love." She said it like a death sentence. Real love. The kind that makes you human again. The kind worth living for, not just killing for. Kang-soo almost laughed. "Love is a fairy tale. It doesn't exist in our world. It exists if you let it." His mother's eyes suddenly focused past him, toward the glass wall separating their ICU from the main ward. "There, that one. The black girl at the nurse's station. The one with sad eyes and gentle hands." Kang-soo turned and saw her for the first time. The world stopped. "Now, let me ask you this before we continue. Have you ever locked eyes with someone and felt like your entire world shifted in that moment? Like you were looking at your future but you didn't know it yet? Tell me about it in the comments. I want to hear your stories about those life-changing moments. And if you're enjoying the story so far, do me a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It takes you 2 seconds, but it helps this channel more than you know. Jane Mitchell was 3 hours into a 12-hour shift and already contemplating murder. Not literal murder. She was a nurse, she saved lives. But the fantasy kind that got you through nights with handsy doctors, racist patients, and the crushing weight of student debt that had driven her to Seoul in the first place. She was restocking a crash cart when her skin prickled. That animal awareness of being watched. Jane looked up and locked eyes with the most beautiful, terrifying man she'd ever seen. He stood behind the glass wall of the private ICU, absolutely still, and he was staring at her like she was the answer to a question he hadn't known he was asking. Even at a distance, even through reinforced glass, the intensity of his gaze was physical, like being touched by cold hands, like being marked. Jane's heart kicked hard against her ribs. Then Mrs. Kim, the head nurse, materialized at her elbow, looking absolutely terrified. "Jane, I need you to do something, and I need you to not ask questions." "What's wrong?" "That man in room 7, the one staring at you, he's very dangerous, very powerful. His mother is dying, and she's asked specifically for you to tend to her." Jane's stomach dropped. "I'm not assigned to that room. Nurse Park—" "Jane, please." Mrs. Kim's voice cracked. "I can't explain everything, but if you refuse, there will be consequences. For all of us. He's not the kind of man who accepts no." Every instinct Jane possessed screamed danger, but Mrs. Kim had been kind to her when no one else had stood up for her when other nurses made her life hell because of her skin color, her foreignness, her refusal to bow and scrape. "Fine," Jane said. "But just for tonight." She had no idea she'd just agreed to sell her soul. Jane entered room 7 with her professional mask firmly in place, calm, competent, completely unbothered by dangerous men who looked at her like prey. The mask shattered the instant she stepped inside. The room was filled with armed men, not hiding it, not pretending. Guns visible in shoulder holsters, expressions cold and watchful, positioned at strategic points like soldiers preparing for war. And in the center of it all, beside his dying mother, stood him. Up close, he was devastating. Perfect bone structure that belonged on museum sculptures. Lips that would have been beautiful on a woman but were cruel on him. And those eyes, black holes that pulled at something deep in Jane's chest. "You." His voice was velvet wrapped around razor wire. "Come here." Not a request. A command. Jane's spine stiffened. She'd survived her father's fists and foster homes that treated her like garbage, and a system designed to break girls who looked like her. She didn't take orders from men, no matter how dangerous. "Excuse me?" She kept her voice professional but cold. "I'm here to check your mother's vitals. If you need to speak to me, you'll do it with respect." The temperature in the room dropped to Arctic. Every man reached for their weapons. Kang-Soo held up one hand and they froze. His expression hadn't changed, still that unreadable mask, but something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, interest, hunger. Then his mother laughed. Actually laughed, a wet, rasping sound that shouldn't have been possible given her condition. "Oh, I love her already," Mrs. Park wheezed. "She has fire. You hear that, my son? Real fire. Not fear, not submission, fire." She dissolved into coughing. Jane moved on instinct, nurse training overriding everything else. She checked oxygen levels, adjusted the bed, administered medication with hands that didn't shake despite the guns and the danger and those black eyes tracking her every movement. "Quick question for you. Would you have the courage to stand up to a room full of armed gangsters? Or would you back down to save yourself? Be honest in the comments. There's no judgment here. I genuinely want to know what you would do in Jane's situation. And while you're down there commenting, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We post stories like this every week and you don't want to miss them." "What's your name?" Mrs. Park asked when she could breathe again. "Jane." "Jane Mitchell, American." "Yes, ma'am. Chicago," Kang-Soo said abruptly. "South Side. Father died when you were 12, beaten to death outside a bar. Mother went to prison for killing her second husband in self-defense. You lived on the streets for 6 months before your grandmother found you. Put yourself through nursing school working 3 jobs. You have $127,000 in student loans. Credit score 620. You came to Seoul 2 months ago on a 2-year contract you're already planning to break. You have no friends here, no family, no one who would notice if you disappeared." Jane's blood turned to ice. "How do you— I know everything about everyone who enters my sphere." His voice was matter-of-fact, which somehow made it worse. "It's how I stay alive. You investigated me? In the 20 minutes since your mother pointed at me? 15 minutes. And yes," Jane wanted to scream. To run. To call the police, though she knew instinctively that wouldn't help. Men like this owned the police. Instead, she turned to Mrs. Park. "Your son is a stalker and possibly a psychopath. I'm going to recommend a psychiatric evaluation." Mrs. Park laughed so hard she started coughing again. Kang Su's lips twitched, almost smiled. "I like you, Jane Mitchell. You're either very brave or very stupid." "Probably both," Jane muttered, finishing her examination. "Mrs. Park needs rest. The next 48 hours are critical. I'll check back in 2 hours." She turned to leave. "Wait!" Mrs. Park's command stopped her. "I need to tell you something, a truth before I die. Mother," warning in Kang Su's voice. "Hush, boy, I'm dying. I'll say what I want." Mrs. Park's eyes locked on Jane. "My son is a monster. I made him that way. This world would have eaten him alive if I hadn't taught him to be harder, colder, more ruthless than anyone else. But monsters shouldn't die alone. Monsters need balance. They need someone who can see the human underneath the horror." Jane's stomach knotted. "I don't understand. My dying wish, the last thing I want before I leave this world, is to see my son fall in love. Real love. Not the transaction kind, not bought or forced. Real." Mrs. Park's voice strengthened. "I want him to give his heart to someone worthy, and I think you might be that someone—" "That's insane," Jane said flatly. "You don't know me. I don't know him. You can't just— 1 month." Mrs. Park gripped Jane's hand with shocking strength. "Give him 1 month. Let him court you. Let him try to be human again. If at the end you still want to run, I'll make him let you go. You have my word, this is crazy. I'm not some prize to be won." "I'll pay off your debts," Kang Su said abruptly. "All of them. Student loans, credit cards, everything. And I'll give you 50 million won on top of it. All you have to do is give my mother the peace of seeing me try." Jane stared at him. "You can't buy people. I can buy almost anything, including your time for 1 month. Think of it as a job. You date me. We pretend to fall in love. My mother dies happy. Then you're free to go, debt-free, with enough money to start over anywhere you want." "Hold on, I need to pause here and ask you something. If someone offered to pay off all your debts, every single penny you owe, but you had to pretend to date a dangerous criminal for a month, would you do it? Would you take that deal? Think about it carefully and let me know in the comments what your answer would be. This is getting intense, right? If you're hooked on this story, smash that like button and subscribe. Let the algorithm know you want more content like this." "Kang Su," his mother's voice was sharp. "That's not how you woo a woman, you stupid, stupid boy." But Jane was already doing the math. No debt. 50 million won. Freedom. 1 month of pretending versus a lifetime of struggling. "Contract," she heard herself say. "I want it in writing. 1 month, then I walk away free and clear. And ground rules, no touching without permission, no expectations of physical intimacy, and I get a safe word. Something I can say if I genuinely feel unsafe, and you back off immediately." Kang Su's eyes gleamed. "Deal. Choose your safe word. Mercy. Fitting." He extended his hand. "Do we have an agreement, Jane Mitchell?" Jane looked at his hand. Beautiful, dangerous, probably covered in blood more often than not. She shook it. His skin was warm, his grip was gentle, and Jane felt the trap snap shut around her. 24 hours later, Jane stood in Kang Su's penthouse, reading the most insane contract she'd ever seen. The terms were crystal clear. For a period of 30 days, Jane Mitchell agreed to reside in accommodations provided by Kang Su, accompany him to social events as required, have dinner together minimum 5 times per week, make genuine effort to develop emotional connection, allow physical affection appropriate to a developing relationship, respond to calls and messages within 2 hours. In return, Kang Su agreed to pay off all of Jane's debts verified at $127,000, pay Jane 50 million Korean won upon completion, respect Jane's safe word immediately, allow Jane to leave freely at the end of 30 days, and ensure Jane's physical safety at all times. "This is insane," Jane said for the 100th time. "This is business." Kang Su stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking Seoul like a king surveying his kingdom. He'd changed into casual clothes, black jeans, black sweater, but somehow looked more dangerous, not less. "You're providing a service. I'm paying for it. Simple transaction." "Nothing about this is simple." "No," he agreed, "but it's honest. I'm not pretending this is romance. I'm not lying about my feelings. This is a performance for my mother's sake. When it's over, you're free." Jane signed the contract with shaking hands. "Your room is upstairs," Kang Su said. Second floor, east wing. I've had your belongings moved from your apartment. You did what? You agreed to move in. I simply expedited the process. Your landlord has been compensated. He turned to face her. Jane, let me be very clear about the rules here. This penthouse is a fortress. There are armed guards on every floor. Security cameras everywhere except bedrooms and bathrooms. You don't leave without an escort. You don't talk to strangers. You don't post on social media. The moment you signed that contract, you became a target. A target for what? For anyone who wants to hurt me? His voice was flat. I have many enemies. The Yakuza, the Russians, rival Korean families. They've been trying to kill me for 15 years. Now that you're associated with me, they'll try to use you to get to me. So you follow security protocols, or you die. Understood? Jane's mouth went dry. You're serious, deadly serious. He moved closer, and Jane fought the urge to step back. I meant what I said in the contract. I will ensure your safety. But you have to cooperate. No sneaking out, no playing hero. You do exactly what my men tell you when they tell you. Your independence is suspended for the next month. Can you live with that? Jane wanted to say no, wanted to tear up the contract and run. But she thought about the debt, the freedom, the chance to start over. Yes, she whispered. Good. Kang Su's expression softened almost imperceptibly. I know this is difficult. I know I'm asking the impossible. But my mother is dying, and this is the only thing she's ever asked of me. So I will do whatever it takes to give her peace, even if it means pretending to be human for a month. Something in his voice made Jane's chest ache. Grief, raw and terrible, barely contained beneath the ice. I'm sorry, she said softly. About your mother. Kang Su's jaw tightened. Don't pity me. This is business. Remember that. He left before Jane could respond. But she'd seen his eyes, seen the pain he was drowning in, and she wondered if maybe, just maybe, she could help him be human again. Real talk for a second. Have you ever met someone who seemed cold and heartless on the outside, but you could sense there was pain underneath? Someone who built walls to protect themselves? Let me know in the comments if you've ever known someone like that. And listen, if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now. We're building an amazing community here, and I want you to be part of it. The first week was a carefully choreographed dance of pretend intimacy. Dinners where they made small talk while his mother watched via video call, beaming with hope. Walks through Kang Su's private garden, where he'd point out flowers and she'd pretend to be charmed, both of them hyper-aware of the guards watching from the shadows. Movie nights where they'd sit on opposite ends of a couch big enough for 6, the space between them charged with tension neither acknowledged. But something strange was happening. Jane started to see glimpses of the man beneath the monster. Like the way Kang Su left coffee on her nightstand every morning, prepared exactly how she liked it, 2 sugars, no cream, though she'd never told him her preference, or how he'd pause whatever he was doing when she entered a room, giving her his complete attention, like she was the only thing that mattered in that moment. Or the night she found him in his study at 3 a.m. reading poetry in Korean, his expression unguarded and achingly sad. Can't sleep, she'd asked from the doorway. He'd looked up, startled. For a moment she saw genuine emotion flicker across his face, surprise, vulnerability, something almost like longing. Old habits, he'd said, closing the book. I don't sleep much. Nightmares, memories. Same thing, really. Jane had moved into the study without thinking, drawn by something in his voice. What are you reading? Yoon Dong-ju, Korean poet. He died in a Japanese prison during World War II. My mother used to read his poems to me when I couldn't sleep. Read me one, Jane had said impulsively. Jane, please. I want to hear it, and he had. In Korean first, his voice transforming into something beautiful and sad, then translated haltingly into English. Counting the stars embedded in my heart, I call out each star with the names of those I once knew. I call out each star with the names of those I will know. Because morning is still far away, and the night is holding me. When he'd finished, tears were streaming down Jane's face. That's beautiful, she'd whispered, and so sad. That's life, Kang Su had said. Beautiful and sad and mostly darkness with moments of light. Is that what you think? That life is mostly darkness? He'd looked at her then, really looked at her, and for a moment his mask had completely fallen away. It was. Until recently, the air between them had crackled with electricity. Jane had fled before she could do something stupid like kiss him. But after that night, things changed. I want to know something from you right now. Do you believe people can really change? Can someone who's done terrible things become good again? Or are we all just stuck being who we've always been? Drop your honest opinion in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what you think about redemption and change. And hey, if this story is hitting you in the feels, show it some love with a like. It really does help. By the end of the second week, Jane had to admit the terrible truth. She was falling for him, not for the contract, not for the money. For him. The real him. The man who read poetry at 3 in the morning and treated wounded birds and once cried watching his mother sleep because he knew he was losing her. It was the small things that destroyed her defenses. The way he'd touched the small of her back when guiding her through crowds, protective and possessive. How he'd listen when she talked, really listen, asking questions, remembering details, treating her words like they mattered. The morning she'd woken up sick and he'd appeared with medicine and soup and sat with her all day, working from her bedside, refusing to leave her alone. "Why are you being so nice to me?" she'd asked through her fever haze. "Because you're mine to protect," he'd said simply. Then, realizing what he'd said for the next month, contractually. But Jane had heard the truth beneath the words. That night at dinner with his mother watching via video call, something broke. They were supposed to be acting, playing parts. Instead, when Kang-soo reached across the table and took her hand, it felt real. When he looked at her with those black eyes now warm with something that might have been affection, it felt real. When he said, "I'm glad my mother chose you, Jane Mitchell. You're remarkable," his voice rough with emotion, it felt devastatingly real. Mrs. Park saw it. Started crying. "My beautiful children, my son has finally opened his heart. I can die happy now. Mother, don't—" Kang-soo's voice cracked. "It's okay, my love. I'm not afraid. Not anymore. Because I know you'll be all right. Jane will take care of you. And you'll take care of her. You'll be happy. Promise me you'll let yourself be happy." "I promise," Kang-soo whispered, still holding Jane's hand. And Jane saw tears slip down his face, the first time she'd ever seen him cry. After the call ended, they sat in silence, still holding hands. "This isn't fake anymore, is it?" Jane said quietly. "No." Kang-soo's thumb stroked her palm. "I don't know when it changed. Maybe that first night when you stood up to me. Maybe when you cried over poetry. Maybe it was always real, and I was just too broken to recognize it." "I'm scared," Jane admitted. "So am I." He lifted her hand to his lips, pressed a kiss to her knuckles that burned through her entire body. "But I think I might be falling in love with you. And that terrifies me more than any enemy ever has." "Why?" "Because love is a weakness. Love is something that can be taken away. And in my world, anything you love becomes a target. Then we'll make sure I'm not an easy target," Jane said, surprising herself with her own fierceness. Teach me how to survive in your world, not as a victim, as a partner." Kang-soo's eyes widened. "Jane, I'm serious. I'm not some delicate flower. I survived things that would break most people. I can survive this too, if you'll teach me." He stared at her for a long moment, something like awe crossing his features. Then he pulled her into his arms and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was hungry, desperate, weeks of tension exploding in a moment. His hands tangled in her hair, her nails dug into his shoulders. They kissed like drowning people finding air. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Kang-soo pressed his forehead to hers. "You're going to ruin me," he whispered. "Good," Jane whispered back. "You deserve to be ruined. You deserve to feel something other than cold. Then stay. Not because of the contract, not for the money. Stay because you want to. Stay because you're falling too." "I'm already gone," Jane admitted. "I fell 2 weeks ago. I just didn't want to admit it." They kissed again, softer this time, sweeter, and Jane felt her world tilt on its axis. She was in love with a monster, and he was in love with her. God help them both. "Okay, I have to ask you this. Have you ever fallen for someone you absolutely knew you shouldn't? Someone who was wrong for you in every logical way, but your heart didn't care? Tell me your story in the comments, and if you're feeling this love story, give me a like. Better yet, share this video with someone who loves intense romance. They'll thank you for it. 3 days later, everything went to hell. Jane was at the hospital, visiting Mrs. Park during her afternoon break, when the Yakuza struck. She didn't see them coming, didn't hear the silent approach. One moment she was adjusting Mrs. Park's pillows. The next, a cloth covered her mouth, chemical sweetness filling her lungs. "Jane!" Mrs. Park screamed. "Jane!" But Jane was already falling into darkness. She woke up in a warehouse, zip-tied to a chair, head pounding, terror clawing at her throat. 3 men stood around her, Japanese judging by their accents when they spoke to each other. One of them, clearly the leader, crouched in front of her. "Good. You're awake. We were afraid we'd overdosed you. Who are you?" Jane's voice shook despite her attempt at bravery. "We're the Nakamura family. Yakuza. And you're the key to finally destroying Kang-soo." The man smiled, showing gold teeth. "We've been trying to kill him for years. Always failed. He's too careful, too protected. But now he has a weakness." "You—" Jane's blood turned to ice. "He doesn't care about me. I'm just— Don't lie. We've been watching. We've seen how he looks at you, how he touches you. For the first time in his life, Kang-soo loves something more than power, and that makes you the perfect weapon. You're going to kill me, eventually. But first, we're going to make him watch. We're going to break you piece by piece and send him videos. We're going to make him choose his empire or your life. And either way, he loses. Either he gives up everything he's built, or he watches you die and lives with that guilt forever. Either way, we win." Terror flooded Jane's system. But beneath it, something else was rising. Rage, stubborn, furious rage. Kang-soo had taught her something in their weeks together. Survivors fight, always. "You're wrong about one thing," Jane said, meeting the Yakuza leader's eyes. "You think I'm weak because I'm a woman, because I'm a nurse, because I'm not part of your world. But I've survived things that would break you. My father's fists, the streets, poverty, racism, the system trying to crush me. I'm not some delicate princess waiting to be rescued." She head-butted him with every ounce of strength she had. The man reeled backward, blood exploding from his nose. "You bitch!" His fist connected with her jaw, and the world exploded into stars. Then pain, so much pain, as they beat her for her defiance, but Jane laughed through the blood. Laughed because she knew Kang-soo was coming. And when he did, there would be hell to pay. "Listen, I need to know. Would you fight back like Jane did? Or would you stay quiet and compliant to avoid getting hurt worse? What would you do in that situation?" Answer honestly in the comments. No judgment. And if you're on the edge of your seat right now, hit that subscribe button. You need to be here for what happens next. Kang-soo got the video 45 minutes after Jane was taken. It showed her tied to a chair, face bloody, defiant even through the fear. The Yakuza leader's voice crackled through. "You have 24 hours to surrender your territory and operations to us, or she dies. Slowly, painfully. We'll send you pieces." Kang-soo watched the video 3 times in absolute silence. Then he stood, and every man in the room felt the temperature drop. "Find them," Kang-soo said quietly. "I want every Nakamura operative in Seoul located within the hour. I want the warehouse found. I want escape routes mapped. And I want weapons. All of them. We're going to war." "Boss," Minho said carefully, "if we move against the Yakuza, it'll start a full gang war. The casualties— I don't care." Kang-soo's voice was death itself. "They took what's mine. They hurt what I love. So I'm going to kill every last one of them, and I'm going to make it hurt. Assemble everyone. We move in 1 hour. What about the Empire, if you go to war?" "Fuck the Empire!" Kang-soo roared, and everyone flinched. "What good is power if I can't protect the one person who matters? What good is any of this if I lose her? No, we burn it all down if we have to, but we get her back. Alive. At any cost." It took them 53 minutes to find the warehouse. Kang-soo hit it with 40 men and enough firepower to start a small revolution. The attack was brutal and efficient. Kang-soo's men breached the warehouse from 4 directions simultaneously. Doors, windows, even the roof. Flashbangs exploded. Gunfire erupted. Men screamed and died. Kang-soo moved through the chaos like death incarnate. Black suit splattered with blood that wasn't his. Gun in one hand, knife in the other, killing with cold precision. He found the Yakuza leader trying to escape through a back exit. "Going somewhere?" Kang-soo's voice was pleasant, almost cheerful, which made it infinitely more terrifying. The man turned, gun rising. Kang-soo shot him in the kneecap. The man collapsed, screaming. That's for touching her. Kang Su shot his other knee. That's for making her bleed. He shot his shoulder. That's for making her afraid. Please, please, I was just following orders. Everyone follows orders. That doesn't make you less guilty. Kang Su crouched down, pressing the gun to the man's forehead. You made a mistake. You thought love was weakness, but love is what makes me most dangerous, because now I have something worth burning the world for. Remember that in hell. He pulled the trigger. Then he was running, following his men's shouts, his heart pounding with fear for the first time in 15 years. He found Jane in the center of the warehouse, still tied to the chair, face battered but alive. Alive. Thank God, alive. Jane! He was across the room in seconds, cutting her bonds, pulling her into his arms. I've got you. You're safe. I've got you. Jane clung to him, shaking. You came. Of course I came. Did you think I'd leave you? His voice broke. Jane, I'm so sorry. This is my fault, my world, my enemies. You were right to be afraid. Shut up and kiss me, Jane said through split lips. So he did. Kissed her like she was oxygen and he was drowning. Kissed her like he could pour all his fear and rage and love into that single point of contact. When they broke apart, Jane was crying. I knew you'd come. I knew it. Always. Jane, I love you. I know it's too soon. I know this is insane, but I love you. You're the only good thing in my life. The only human thing. I can't lose you. I won't. You won't, Jane promised. I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me, monster. Good. Because I'm never letting you out of my sight again. He carried her out of the warehouse, past the bodies, past the blood, into a world that would never be safe, but might, just might, be bearable with her in it. Here's what I need to know from you. Would you burn down your entire world for the person you love? Would you give up everything, your power, your empire, your safety, to save them? Let me know in the comments what love means to you. And if this story is giving you all the feels, smash that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear a story about love conquering everything. Mrs. Park died 3 days later, peacefully, with both of them holding her hands. Her last words were simple but powerful. Take care of each other. Choose love. Always choose love. Then she was gone. Kang Su wept, actually wept, something Jane suspected he'd never done, not even as a child. She held him while he shattered, while grief poured out of him in great, racking sobs. I've got you, she whispered. I've got you. You're not alone. Promise me, he choked out. Promise you won't leave. Promise this is real. This is real, Jane swore. I love you. This is real, Jane swore. I love you. I choose you. Even knowing what you are, what you've done, I choose you. Why? He looked at her with devastated eyes. Why would you choose a monster? Because you're not just a monster. You're a man who reads poetry at 3 a.m, who cries for dying mothers, who would burn down the world to save one person. You're broken, yes, but so am I, and maybe 2 broken people can be whole together. Kang Su kissed her then, soft and desperate and full of promises. 3 months later, the penthouse was different. There were photos on the walls, Jane and Kang Su, candid and smiling. There were plants Jane had insisted on, bringing life to cold spaces. There were books everywhere, poetry and novels mixing with business reports. It looked lived in, loved in, human. Jane stood at the window watching Sol wake up, Kang Su's arms wrapped around her from behind. The Yakuza remnants are still causing problems. He murmured into her neck. I have to go to Busan next week to handle it. I'm coming with you, Jane. Don't Jane me. I'm your partner, remember? You promised to teach me how to survive in your world. That means I go where you go. Kang Su sighed but smiled. You're impossible. You love it. I love you. He turned her in his arms, his expression soft in a way it never was for anyone else. You changed everything, Jane Mitchell. You made me human again. Made me want to be human again. Good. Because you're stuck with me now, forever. Forever, Jane promised. They kissed as the sun rose over Seoul, 2 broken people who'd found each other in darkness and chosen love over everything else. The contract had expired 2 months ago. Jane had never left. She never would. Because some things, some people, were worth fighting for, worth dying for, worth living for. And Kang Su was hers, monster and man, and she was keeping him. Quick pause here. Are you team Kang Su and Jane? Do you believe in this kind of intense, all-consuming love, the kind that changes you completely? Drop a comment and let me know if you're rooting for them. And And listen, if you've watched this far, you're part of my community now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. 1 year later, Jane stood in front of Kang Soo's entire organization. 50 men in black suits, all dangerous, all watching her with varying degrees of respect and wariness. She was no longer the frightened nurse who'd stumbled into this world. She'd learned, she'd grown, she'd become something new. "Listen up," she said, channeling every ounce of authority she'd developed. "I know I'm not what you expected. I'm a black American woman in a Korean crime family. I'm a nurse, not a killer. But I'm also the woman your boss loves, and that means something in this world. It means I'm protected, it means I have power, and it means I'm going to use that power to make some changes around here." The men shifted uncomfortably. Kang Soo stood off to the side, arms crossed, a small smile playing at his lips. "First change," Jane continued. "No more human trafficking. I don't care how profitable it is. We're not in the business of destroying lives that way. Drugs, gambling, protection, fine. But no trafficking, no prostitution rings, no selling people. That's non-negotiable." "With all due respect," one of the older lieutenants said carefully, "you don't have the authority." "She has my authority," Kang Soo cut in, his voice leaving no room for argument. "What she says goes. Anyone who has a problem with that can leave now, with a bullet in their skull." Silence. Jane smiled. "Good. Second change. We're setting up a charitable foundation, anonymous, untraceable back to us, but we're going to start giving back to the communities we operate in. Youth centers, food programs, scholarship funds. We destroy lives in this business. The least we can do is save some too." "You're serious about this?" another man said, not quite a question. "Dead serious," Jane confirmed. "Look, I'm not naive. I know what Kang Soo does, what you all do. I know the blood and the violence and the darkness, but if we're going to be monsters, let's be monsters with some humanity left. Let's be monsters who at least try to balance the scales." Kang Soo moved behind her, his hands settling on her shoulders. "You heard the lady. Make it happen." Dismissed, the men filed out, some confused, some intrigued, all obedient. When they were alone, Kang Soo turned Jane in his arms. "You're magnificent, you know that? I'm terrifying. There's a difference. You're both. That's why I love you." Jane traced his jawline with her finger. "Do you ever regret it? Your mother forcing us together? The contract? All of it? Every day," Kang Soo said seriously. Then he smiled. "I regret that I wasted even a single day pretending I didn't want you. I regret every moment I tried to keep you at arm's length. I regret not kissing you the first time I saw you. You would have gotten slapped. Worth it." He kissed her softly. "Jane, I was dead before you, walking around, breathing but dead inside. You brought me back to life. You gave me a reason to be more than just the monster my mother made me." "Your mother knew what she was doing," Jane said quietly. "She saw something in me that could balance something in you. She was manipulative and controlling and probably a little bit crazy, but she was right. She usually was. It was infuriating." They stood there in each other's arms, and Jane marveled at how far they'd come. From a transactional contract to this, real, messy, complicated love. "Let me ask you something personal. Do you think you can build something real on a foundation of lies? Can a relationship that started with deception and contracts turn into genuine love? I want your honest thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you've made it this far in the story, you deserve a medal. But I'll settle for you hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Deal?" 6 months after that, Jane got pregnant. She found out on a Tuesday afternoon, staring at the positive test in the bathroom of their penthouse, heart racing with a mixture of terror and joy. A baby. She was going to have a baby with a Mafia boss. She was going to bring a child into this world of violence and danger and blood. She walked out of the bathroom to find Kang Soo in his office, reviewing what looked like financial reports, but she knew were probably money laundering operations. "We need to talk," she said. Kang Soo looked up immediately, reading the seriousness in her tone. "What's wrong?" Jane closed the door behind her and handed him the pregnancy test. For a long moment, Kang Soo just stared at the little plastic stick. His expression was completely unreadable. Then he looked up at her, and Jane saw tears in his eyes. "You're pregnant," he whispered. "I'm pregnant," she confirmed. "I'm sorry, I know we didn't plan this. I know the timing is terrible with the Yakuza situation still." Kang Soo crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms, burying his face in her neck. "Don't apologize," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Don't ever apologize for this. Jane, you're giving me something I never thought I'd have. A family, a real family, not built on blood and violence, but on love." "Are you sure?" Jane pulled back to look at him. "Because bringing a child into your world—" "Our world," he corrected. "And you're right, it's dangerous, it's terrifying. But I will protect this child with everything I have. I will make this world safer for them. I will be better for them. For you. You promise?" "I promise." He kissed her softly, then dropped to his knees and pressed his lips to her still flat stomach. "I promise you too, little one. I'm going to be the father I never had. I'm going to give you everything. And I'm going to teach you to be strong like your mother." Jane ran her fingers through his hair, tears streaming down her face. "We're really doing this. We're really doing this." That night, Kang-Soo called an emergency meeting with his top lieutenants. "Things are changing," he announced. "Jane is pregnant. That means increased security for her at all times. That means we accelerate plans to eliminate our biggest threats. And that means we start transitioning some of our operations to be more legitimate." "Legitimate?" Min-ho repeated, shocked. "Boss, we're criminals. That's what we do. We're businessmen," Kang-Soo corrected coldly. "We just happen to operate outside the law. But with a child coming, I need to build something that can last. Something they can inherit that won't get them killed before they're 20. So we diversify. Real estate, tech investments, legitimate businesses we can hide money in and eventually transition to entirely. I'm not saying we go clean overnight, but we start planning for it." The men exchanged glances. "The boss is going soft," one of them muttered. Kang-Soo's gun was out and pressed to the man's forehead before anyone could blink. "Soft?" Kang-Soo's voice was deadly quiet. "I just decided I'm willing to burn down every enemy I have to make the world safe for my child. I'm willing to kill anyone who poses a threat to my family. You think that's soft? Test me, please. I'm looking for an excuse." The man went pale. "No, boss, I misspoke. My apologies." Kang-Soo holstered his gun. "Jane has made me more human, but she's also made me more dangerous, because now I have something worth protecting, something worth dying for, something worth killing for. Don't ever forget that. Here's a real question for you. Can someone involved in crime ever truly go legitimate? Can you escape that world once you're in it? Or is it a life sentence? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're invested in Kang-Soo and Jane's journey, in their baby's future, hit that subscribe button. This story isn't over yet. The baby was born on a cold January morning, a girl with Jane's dark skin and Kang-Soo's black eyes. They named her Ji-Hai, Hope. Kang-Soo held his daughter for the first time with hands that had killed hundreds, and he wept. "She's perfect," he whispered. "She's absolutely perfect." "She is," Jane agreed, exhausted but smiling. "She's our miracle. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you or her or any of this happiness." "Maybe not," Jane said honestly, "but you're getting it anyway, so don't waste it. Be the man she needs you to be. Be the father who shows her that people can change, that love can redeem even the darkest souls." Kang-Soo looked at his daughter, so tiny and helpless in his arms, and made a vow. He would be better. Not perfect. He'd never be perfect, but better. For her. For Jane. For the family he'd never thought he'd have. The Yakuza made their move 3 months later. They'd been quiet, regrouping after Kang-Soo had decimated their forces. But they hadn't forgotten, hadn't forgiven, and they knew exactly how to hurt him now. Jane was in the penthouse with Ji-Hai when the attack came. 6 men, heavily armed, breaching through a weakness in the security Kang-Soo's people had missed. But Jane wasn't the same frightened nurse anymore. She'd been training, learning to shoot, to fight, to protect herself and her daughter. When the first man came through the door, Jane shot him in the chest without hesitation. The second one made it 3 steps into the room before she shot him too. The third one got close enough to grab her before she put a bullet in his skull. The remaining 3 hesitated, shocked that the nurse had become a killer. That hesitation cost them their lives as Kang-Soo's men burst in, alerted by the gunfire. When Kang-Soo arrived 10 minutes later, he found Jane sitting on the floor, Ji-Hai in her arms, 3 bodies cooling around her, her hands shaking but her expression calm. "I protected her," Jane said quietly. "I protected our baby." Kang-Soo knelt beside her, checking them both for injuries. "You're a warrior," he said with awe and pride. My warrior, I'm a mother, Jane corrected, and I will kill anyone who tries to hurt my child. Anyone. I don't care who they are or how many of them there are. They come for my family, they die. Kang Su kissed her then, tasting blood and fear and fierce love. I love you, he said. God, I love you so much it terrifies me. Good, Jane said. Terror means you're still human. Never lose that. That night, after Ji-hai was asleep and the bodies were disposed of and the security was tripled, Jane and Kang Su lay in bed together. We need to end this, Jane said. The Yakuza war. It needs to end before Ji-hai gets old enough to understand what's happening. I know, so end it. Whatever it takes, use all your power, all your connections, all your violence. End it so our daughter can grow up without constant danger. Kang Su was quiet for a long moment. It'll be bloody, a lot of people will die, I know. I'm not asking you to be merciful, I'm asking you to win. And you're okay with that? With what I'll have to do? Jane turned to face him. I've killed 3 men today to protect our daughter. I've crossed lines I never thought I'd cross. I'm not innocent anymore, Kang Su. I'm not the naive nurse who walked into your life. I'm your partner, your equal, and I'm telling you to do whatever it takes to make our family safe. Kang Su pulled her close. You're magnificent and terrifying. I learned from the best. I want to ask you something important. How far would you go to protect your family? Would you kill for them? Would you become a monster for them? Where's the line for you? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're still with me on this journey, show some love with a like and make sure you're subscribed. We're getting close to the end, and you don't want to miss it. The war with the Yakuza lasted 3 weeks. It was brutal, vicious, bloody beyond measure. Kang Su called in every favor, used every connection, deployed every resource he had. He hit them everywhere at once, their money, their operations, their leadership. He didn't just want to win, he wanted to erase them. The final confrontation happened in Busan, at the Yakuza's main headquarters. Kang Su walked in alone, unarmed, to meet with their leader, a man named Takeshi, who'd been orchestrating the attacks for years. You have courage, I'll give you that, Takeshi said in accented Korean. Coming here alone. I'm not alone, Kang Su replied calmly. I have 30 men surrounding this building with orders to kill everyone inside if I don't walk out in 10 minutes. And I have a sniper on the roof across the street with a bullet aimed at your head right now. Takeshi smiled. Then why are you here? Why not just kill me? Because I want to offer you a choice. You end this war. You pull all your operations out of Seoul. You leave me and my family alone. In return, I let you live. You keep Busan. You keep your empire elsewhere, but Seoul is mine, forever. And if I refuse, then I kill you. I kill everyone you love. I burn down everything you've built, and I enjoy every second of it. Kang Su's expression was completely calm. I have a daughter now, Takeshi, a beautiful baby girl, and I will paint the streets red with your blood before I let you threaten her. So choose, peace or annihilation. Takeshi studied him for a long moment. You've changed. The old Kang Su would have just killed me. The old Kang Su didn't have anything worth living for. Now I do. Which makes me more dangerous, not less. Your woman did this. The American nurse, my wife, Kang Su, corrected coldly. And yes, she did. She made me want to build something instead of just destroying things. But make no mistake, I will destroy you if you force me to. Takeshi leaned back in his chair. Peace then. I'm too old for endless war. Seoul is yours. My word on it. Your word means nothing. I want it in writing, witnessed by neutral parties. And I want your second-in-command executed as proof of your commitment. He's the one who ordered the attack on my home, on my wife and daughter. Takeshi's jaw tightened. He's my nephew. I don't care if he's your son. He tried to kill my family. He dies or this war continues until you're all dead. For a long, tense moment, neither man moved. Then Takeshi nodded slowly. Done. You'll have your peace, Kang Su, and you'll have your blood. 3 days later, Kang Su returned to Seoul victorious. The war was over, his family was safe, and he'd paid for that safety in blood and violence, just like always. But this time, it felt different. This time, he'd fought not for power or pride, but for love. He found Jane in the nursery, rocking Ji-hai to sleep, humming a lullaby. It's over, he said quietly from the doorway. Jane looked up, and he saw relief flood her expression. Truly over. Truly. They've agreed to peace. Seoul is ours. Our daughter is safe. Jane closed her eyes. Thank God. Kang-soo crossed the room and wrapped his arms around both of them, his entire world, his reason for living. I love you, he whispered. Both of you. More than I ever thought I could love anything. We love you too, Jane whispered back. Our beautiful monster, our protector, our family. And in that moment, in the quiet of the nursery with his wife and daughter in his arms, Kang-soo finally felt something he'd never felt before. Peace. 5 years later, Ji-hae was starting kindergarten. She was beautiful and fierce and stubborn, with her mother's compassion and her father's intensity. Kang-soo stood with Jane outside the school, watching their daughter run inside with excitement and no fear. She doesn't know, Jane said quietly, about what you do, about what we've done. She'll know someday, when she's old enough to understand. Will she hate us? Maybe, probably. But she'll also know we did everything for her, that every choice we made, every line we crossed, was to give her a life we never had. Jane leaned into him. Did we do the right thing, staying in this world, building a life in darkness? I don't know, Kang-soo admitted, but I know I'd do it all again, every violent moment, every terrible choice, because it led to this, to you, to her, to us. We're not normal. Normal is overrated. He kissed the top of her head. We're survivors. We're fighters. We're broken people who found each other and built something beautiful from the pieces. That's better than normal. Jane smiled. You're such a poet. My mother would be proud. She would be. She'd love Ji-hae. She'd love seeing you happy. She knew, Kang-soo said softly. That night in the hospital, she knew exactly what she was doing when she pointed at you. She saw something I was too blind to see. What's that? That you were my salvation, my redemption, my chance at being human again. And you were mine, Jane said. You saved me just as much as I saved you. They stood there together, watching their daughter play through the window, and marveled at the life they'd built. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't clean, it wasn't what anyone would call normal, but it was theirs, and that was enough. So let me ask you one final question before we close this story. Do you believe in redemption? Do you believe that love can truly change someone? That two broken people can heal each other and build something beautiful? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. And listen, if you've been with me for this entire journey, if you've felt every emotion alongside Kang-soo and Jane, then you're part of this community now. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Smash that like button to show some love. And share this story with someone who believes in the power of love to transform even the darkest souls. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And remember, we all have darkness inside us. The question is, what do we choose to do with it? Do we let it consume us, or do we find someone who makes us want to be better? Choose love. Always choose love. Until next time.